Okay, hi everybody. My name is Gabrielle Patrick. This is my team, Janet and Diana. We're the three amigas today. Knabu really stands for UBank. It's UBANK backwards. And we've decided to try to solve this problem for ourselves and for the community because we've had the problem for a long time. And to be quite frank, we're kind of tired of wasting time asking permission to get a bank account where this should just be a very basic commercial right. So the problem that we're really trying to solve is the non-trivial problem of providing basic corporate bank accounts for crypto companies. We've all experienced this problem of having to jump through hoops to get a bank account or having the bank account closed at short notice. At the same time, we think that the bank model is terribly outdated, so we're basically trying to kill two birds with one stone to attempt to re-engineer the bank to be more aligned to blockchain technology. So I just want to take a few minutes to kind of give some context of how we feel we have to approach this problem. Very few people know that the Bank of England actually started as a private company. So in 1694, the king at that time needed funding to fund the war. He didn't have enough funds. He needed to raise the equivalent of 12 million pounds or 1.2 million pounds. And in order to do that, they incorporated what was called the Governor and Company of the Bank of England. It was actually a private entity that was incorporated with the sole purpose of raising financing for this war. And the deal was that the incorporators, the subscribers of the company in exchange, got an ROI of 8% and they got certain privileges. One of the privileges was basically a monopoly on long-term banking. So from inception, there was this friction between the Bank of England and these incorporators because there was a constant call, a constant tap to fund this war. And so the king kept calling on the bank to fund this conflict. That then devolved into the Bank of England becoming the banker of the government, in charge of public finances, still with this monopoly, still with this corner of the market. And then that in turn devolved into what we know today, which is basically 6 major banks which have a monopoly on clearing. So to put it in very real terms, when we try to apply for bank accounts today from smaller banks, let's say by Metro or Monzo, or even try to, let's say, open a business account with Revolut, for example, and up until recently, TransferWise, all of these entities have to clear, they have to clear from one of the large 6 banks, Barclays, Lloyds, Clydesdale is another one, and they in turn have a direct settlement account with the Bank of England. The reason why I'm explaining all of this is because when we try to get bank accounts, even if these smaller banks want to give us the account, they can't, because as a policy decision, the larger banks have flagged us as a high AML risk, either because they don't understand the risk or because they're just not interested in our risk profile, but at the same time, they invest heavily in the technology. So what we've decided to do is we've decided to go direct to the source, to become a clearing bank ourselves, which means that we would have a direct settlement account with the Bank of England, and to sort of solve that problem from inception. So where we are now is we've actually started our regulatory process. Much to our light, the regulators have been very supportive of our proposition to be a clearing bank, specifically for crypto companies. And so the services we're looking to provide are no lending, pure settlement of fiat and, pure clearing and settlement of fiat payments. The first step is to provide corporate banking to crypto companies of different profiles. The second step would be to try to evolve that model to something that is more aligned to what we believe should be a hybrid of a centrally administered institution with a decentralized model. So very specifically, we are looking to leverage public networks public permissionless networks, because we are heavy believers in those. And we're trying to combine those into an architecture where we utilize advanced AI, advanced machine learning, advanced KYC mechanisms. The KYC conversation that we've started to have with the regulators, in my opinion, is a little bit delicate, because on the one hand, we can't be a vehicle for money laundering. And I had a very interesting conversation with Mark just before I came up here, who, has an opinion that money laundering in itself doesn't really exist, because money is something that needs to be used, and how could you launder it? But that's a different conversation. And on the other hand, for our customers who will be regulated or non-regulated entities, we do have to look to see whether there's any illicit activity in their underlying customers. So that, for us, is a delicate balance, and I'm very interested in feedback from people here, because on the one hand, we don't really want to get into a censorship realm, but on the other hand, we have to balance it with not facilitating illicit activity. So that's a delicate conversation, but it's a conversation that we are having now with the regulators. So this is sort of like a diagrammatical representation of what we think our banking fiat clearing infrastructure will look like. And what I wanted to do now is to pass it over to Janet, who will just talk a little bit more about what is really involved to get us there, to kind of map our decentralized thinking to a model which we think is a hybrid model that will really serve utility to the community.
Thank you, Gabby. Hi, everyone. My name's Janet. I'm co-founder and CFO of Knabu. I got into this space after being in financial services for many years. I was fed up with the status quo, and I don't believe that the way the current system is structured is fair. And I'm excited in the space about the idea of equal access and parity to consumers. So we as Knabu, we're trying to solve the problem of cryptos being denied basic banking and the ability to cash out. Now, that's a very bold and a non-trivial thing to try to tackle. So, it's been a tough but exciting journey so far. The team have put in a lot of work, and there have been challenges, which is some of the things that I'd like to discuss with you today. We are a hybrid model, being we're a fintech business looking and applying to be a fully licensed bank here in the UK. We don't have traditional banking background. We don't want to be a traditional bank. We're against the fractional reserve and the debt-based economy. We're very forward-looking, and we want to be able to create self-clearing digital assets in the future. In terms of remapping, we've done a lot of remapping in terms of our governance and our overall business plan, moving that away from the traditional archaic model, which is clearly not working, and we're moving that more towards a blockchain crypto world. I've spent a lot of time building a financial model that's very robust and can withstand stress tests. So, I've been quite conservative in terms of the customer levels and volumes that we've used to produce that model. In terms of the issues that we recognise that are clear with the lack of banking, we've had to formalise this and present a report to the Bank of England. They don't seem to be aware of these issues. We've spoken to peers and colleagues in the community that have been in the community for many years, but that are also just coming into the space, and we're getting the same response across the board with the lack of banking. People are telling us that it's about time that somebody's actually doing this. So we're really seeing the list of our potential customers continue to grow. In terms of risk management, there are a number of risks that we've had to consider, some of which we've listed here, but that we've had to consider and try to mitigate them appropriately. we strongly believe that, they can be a crypto-friendly bank here in the UK, a hybrid that's able to take care of regulatory or governance issues appropriately, but that also pushes the boundaries and really kind of encourages innovation in the space. So, as Gabby said, we've had a good response from the Bank of England. We've been very frank with them in terms of who we'd like to service, who our clients will be, and that is those like you in the room who provide infrastructure and software utilising distributed ledger or digital assets. So we think that based on the conversations we've had with them, it has been very positive, and we hope that we'll get support from the community to deal with the barriers to entry that we're all collectively facing. Thank you very much.
Okay, so just to spend 1 or 2 minutes on another problem. I mean, our overall goal is really to enable the crypto economy. One is through as I said, opening up the bridge a little bit more between fiat and crypto. The other is, I'm sure a lot of us are very concerned with token projects which are tainting an otherwise credible marketplace. We've seen some scams emerging in the last year. And so one of the things we do want to do is we want to incentivize good projects, good teams that have good ideas, and sort of encourage good behavior. So in our journey, we've had to build tools that we needed to utilize for ourselves in our own token project. And we want to provide projects and teams with easy-to-use tools, people who have approached us almost on an overwhelming basis, some of which who really don't know about tokenization, but get that they could tokenize their business and they have really good ideas, and others who are seasoned in the crypto space but don't really have the time to launch their own token project. So we want to provide these tools to real innovators that really drive the space, basically at no cost, to sort of incentivize them to go through a wisdom of the crowd process. It's free of charge. For those who want to use the tools but don't want to go through that community consensus process, we would be charging a fee. This is just a sort of a little, representation of what we think a team journey would look like. But I think we spent a lot of time focusing on what that nuanced relationship would be between the members of the community and the projects to incentivize them to act in a good way, whether it's by contributing services or rewarding them in different ways. So that's another project that we are working on, but the two are tied together. So this is the team. It's 7 of us. Barry allowed us to speak today. He's sitting in the back. He's our CTO. We basically have a nice mix of, finance, tech, community banking, and engineering. Diana's also here with us today, so she's going to talk a little bit more from her perspective.
Thank you, Gabby. Hi, everyone. My name is Diana. I'm a co-founder of Knabu. So I first got involved in the crypto space in 2016, and I have been trading since early 2017. I've invested in a few token projects. It's great to see more women in the space. When I first entered, there wasn't many, so it's a great shift in the industry. So I'm sure a lot of you have had problems with your bank accounts if you have been trading for a long time. I haven't had my account shut down because I've been very conservative with transferring fiat. I have family members and people who are close to me who have had their account shut down. This is why I understand how stressful it can be. And this is why we have Knabu. Although Knabu is a B2B play, we are creating real infrastructure for the crypto economy. In the last year, I have spoken and interviewed to many businesses in the community who have had their accounts shut down without any explanations in the UK. It could be because they have a bit or any crypto reference in their trading name. So it's becoming a real issue, and it's really preventing innovation at this present moment. We're not from traditional banking backgrounds. And we are looking to build a hybrid model which will leverage blockchain technology to make cheaper and faster transactions in the community. We have a long list of future partners and colleagues who are waiting for us to be able to provide bank accounts from the UK, but also European crypto-friendly jurisdictions where things are constantly changing, making the market really uncertain. I was speaking to a colleague of mine who is based in Estonia this morning. The company is a registered security, and they are still facing bank closures. So this is Knabu in a nutshell. We are looking for partners to grow, and we also have a token generation event. If you have any more questions, please come and see us. We have the T-shirts. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
But typically, it takes 12 to 18 months. We're hoping to be providing the service next year. We've already started our license process.
So does the Bank of England actually have to authorize what is to happen?
Yeah, 2 regulators, the FCA and the PRA. At this time, the roadblock actually is not the regulatory path. The roadblock is really our funding. So we're really looking for support. We need a certain level of funding to capitalize the bank. That's our biggest challenge at this time.
How much? Is it 5 million?
We need 20 million. One is that we're not from the banking space. So, I think we definitely consider ourselves from the Bitcoin space, from the blockchain space. So we consider ourselves to be a technology company that would happen to have a license. It is a very valid question that you're asking, because we constantly have to sort of recheck our thinking, because the financial services ecosystem is constructed in such a way where it pushes you in one direction. And we constantly have to resist this. So I think it really just comes down to ethos, and it comes down to drive. I don't have a more scientific explanation other than that. But it's something that we even, at this stage, that we've had to expend a lot of energy in, because a simple thing like marrying or utilizing public permissionless networks, it's not like you could go to a provider and say, hey, I want a core banking infrastructure that does that. And when you start talking about that, they start looking at you like, why? So now you realize that you have to kind of create it yourself. So it is a constant challenge for us to sort of keep us on the path of what is the goal? The goal is to enable the economy. That's the goal. And once we kind of keep focused on that goal, I think we'll get there. There are a couple of reasons there. The first is, if you take it away from the blockchain sector completely, there's a bank called ClearBank. And ClearBank is one of the first clearing banks that was licensed in 2017 or 2016, so very, very recently, in 250 years. So that's why I was going through that long tra-la-la story about the Bank of England. So there has been definitely a regulatory support of recent times to break that monopoly. And the reason for that was purely an underservice of smaller companies. Okay, so I'm actually a fan of ClearBank. ClearBank has recently started to service regulated crypto companies, but I think where we depart is we are of the view that you don't have to be well-funded to have a bank account. This is a basic commercial right. And so the short answer to your question is that we already see a movement where, take it away from crypto, there is a move to sort of break that monopoly. The second aspect, I can't speak for the Bank of England, but this is my feel on it, is they are aware and they are very concerned, in my opinion, about avoiding another financial crisis. Most of the banks today heavily rely on leveraged debt. So we are following in that ClearBank model where we will not be providing lending. Pure settlement of fiat transactions. So that's another aspect. The third aspect is the AML risk. So there's something that's called wholesale de-risking, which means that because the laws are not constructed to anticipate Bitcoin or blockchain technology, and I've had this experience myself as a crypto company, once they hear crypto, it's automatically flagged as a high risk. Similar to if I was from Nigeria or Thailand, my business is automatically flagged. It doesn't matter how robust my systems are. This is not something that is new in the sense that remittance companies today face the same problem. They can't get bank accounts. It's not new, it's just happening to us. So the short answer to your question is, our feeling is that the Bank of England are aware of these problems. They have documented the problems. They have reports on the problems. And when we came to them and we said, look, this is an underserved market. It's because the risk is not being managed. We understand how to manage the risk. The answer wasn't no. The answer, they had other concerns about, and I don't want to say too much, but they had other concerns about, whether we would scale too fast. That was more the concern. Well, thank you. So, but I mean, I will just add this. I think few teams will take the regulatory pain. We're willing to do this, but we don't believe that we will be the only ones. We don't want to have a monopoly. What we want to do is we want to drive that competition. That's what it's about, right? The revenue would be coming from transactional fees on agency banking. I'll let Janet answer a little bit more.
So our revenue model, as Gabby said, is based on transaction fees, and the fact that we're also going to be looking to be a clearing bank, we can do agency banking where we can provide account numbers, sort codes to our clients, who can then provide account numbers to their clients as well. So that's another revenue fee for.
I really don't know if they're working with blockchain technology. I do know that they've recently opened up to crypto businesses, but my understanding is that you have to be regulated. So, like I was saying, I don't want to criticize Clearbank. I admire Clearbank, but I feel there's enough of a market to service that market. I don't think there should just be one. I think there should be many.
Sorry, just on that point, I was speaking to a company last week, London Blockchain Week, and because they're just starting or looking to take on crypto companies, they had a year-long, very extensive, very cumbersome process to get an account with Clearbank, and it just wasn't a nice experience for them. So Clearbank, although they want to come into the space, they don't have it right at the moment, and it is taking a very long time for a crypto company to get an account with them, if they do.